Right, back live with you tonight. You're in Focus. Question for you on 072-110-558 for the Premier of Gauteng, seeming to point in his budget vote that the government of the ANC in Gauteng, at least for the time that it's been in power, it has created an environment in the province, one, for jobs to be created, but also for businesses to thrive, be it businesses in the private sector that have invested in the province. He says this all happened during the tenure of this government, and therefore that needs to be acknowledged. Of course, that has been challenged profusely by the leader of the Democratic Alliance in the Gauteng province, that is Solly Msimanga. He joins me now to expand a little bit more on that. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. I mean, in a nutshell, during your exchange, this is what keeps coming up from the Premier, saying you do not want to acknowledge that this government has created, one, an environment for conducive for jobs to be created. We'll talk to the numbers, but also for entrepreneurs to be able to establish their businesses. Broadly speaking, what's your rebuttal to that?
Well, Thabo, I think the Department of Economic Development at a national level, or even at the provincial level, will give you different numbers. Stats South Africa will give you different numbers. If that was the case, then why in the third quarter did we have, out of the 159,000 jobs that were created, 158,000 of those were created in the Western Cape, and only 2,000 or so thereabout were only created in Gauteng, which tells you that the economy is actually not growing. And it's not growing for a number of reasons. One is that the economy, the electricity issues in Gauteng continues to, cause havoc, for the businesses out there. The crime continues to remain very, very high. And we are now being told of the so-called panic buttons that have been, been unleashed in the communities. But if you don't have electricity and therefore you don't have network connectivity, what does it help? Begitele on his own just told us that 7 million 10,111 calls have actually been dropped without being resolved. And of those, the majority are coming from Gauteng. So I can tell you now that what Panyaza Lesufi is saying versus what actually is happening on the ground are two different things. And the people are actually then saying that, we are only hanging on by a thread, but we don't know how long we'll be able to then hang on in terms of, sustaining our businesses out there. So the people are hanging on because they are resilient. They're not hanging on because government is doing anything good.
Well, one thing that you agree on is, of course, the impact of load shedding, saying that has certainly disrupted the economy of the province. Not only that, but also pointing out COVID-19. However, he says they remain committed to the targets set, and halfway through their tenure, they are quite on track. One of the questions you put up around the EPWP jobs that have incorporated young people, a target of 80%. They've reached 53% on new infrastructure investment, a target they've set. They're saying currently they're sitting at 50%. As far as the issue of vacancies, they're saying, given the instruction that has been given to all the departments, that the DG now is tasked with ensuring that all those funded posts are going to be filled. What's wrong with those numbers?
Well, Thabo, let's unpack a few things. One, we've said that, because he initially said that it is not the responsibility or in the ambit of the province to resolve the issues of load shedding. And I pointed to him that it is the responsibility of the provinces and the municipality. Therefore, the province needs to coordinate with the municipalities to make sure that we have a singular plan. And this is why I've been hammering the issue of the provincial master plan, whether you're talking about infrastructure, electricity, water, sanitation, roads, whether we're building hospitals or schools and things like that. I've been saying that we need to have a provincial master plan. Now, I made a point earlier on, as you would have heard, that Western Cape is already engaging in building 200 megawatts of electricity. And in fact, they've now started looking at isolating small municipalities that require 30 megawatts of electricity or less, and making sure that they become to then be independent. This is why in the Western Cape, when we are experiencing stage 6 load shedding, they are experiencing 2 stages less. Now, I said that you cannot then divorce yourself from the problem, because then all the other plans that you have are not going to get you anywhere. Whether you're talking about the so-called smart cities, where you have, the cameras, and you're having the face recognition, devices, and you're having this and you're having that. It's not going to work if you're not going to be able to then have electricity. Yeah. So what we have then said is that in that you then need to look at your figures. Now, they have spent since 2017, Tao, 766 million rand. 766 million rand on the so-called Harambe, Tepo 1 million youth program. And I've asked questions. What have we gained out of it? We've spent so much money. We've spent, 750 million. Did we really get an impact where the young people of this province are really employed or are running successful businesses?
880,000 something jobs. Are you saying that's not enough?
Where? You tell me where. I'm telling you now, in the last quarter, Gauteng alone has lost 500,000 jobs. Of those, 300,000 were young people.
Well,
so
the Premier is saying those people have got access to some kind of employment, 118 of that being formal jobs.
You can tick boxes and say we have created these jobs. But unless if you can point out and say, here's the 100,000 that we've spoken about. Here is 50,000 that, the 50,000 in this particular region here that we said these young people, we've invested 100 million, we've started these businesses, the small corporates, and this is now what is happening out of it. Then you can then say there's the impact, and then you can then talk to the numbers. We cannot then just throw numbers all over and then say this is what we have been able to then achieve. Show us where. Where are these 800,000 people that you're talking about? Why is Gauteng leading when it comes to the issues of unemployment, especially amongst young people? Yet we are told that 800,000. Because if 800,000 has been really the number of young people that have been employed, I can promise you now we wouldn't be sitting with these high levels of unemployment.
So what are you saying? I mean, the Premier has given us the impression that, well, Mr. Msimanga, if you want the report, we can give you the report and you can see it. Those numbers are not a thumbsuck. Those are real numbers. What's in that report?
I will ask for that report, but I'm asking you as a broadcaster. I'm asking the general public to ask for those figures, to ask for those reports, because those reports must then be made public. We must know that Solly Msimanga has benefited, and Solly Msimanga, we must not be told about these ice cream factories that we don't even know where they exist and whether indeed they do exist and how many people they've been employed. We must know exactly where. Where is these people, that the 800,000 people that we are being told about? Who are they? Where are they employed? Yeah. What benefit did they get from the 800 million, the close to 800 million that government has spent? And in fact, here's a key, Qatar. We are now being told that the same Harambe program that has been there since 2017, they have now decided with the implementing agents to part ways, and they have decided to part ways in an amicable way. What is an amicable way? An amicable way, did we now pay more money for things that we didn't get? Because now we realize that we've been spending money to something that didn't really give us the kind of impact that we were hoping to get. These are some of the things that we need to be asking. And not only ask the Premier, but ask of the general government in place to then say in the different departments, how many of these vacancies or how much have you contributed towards reducing of the employment figures that we're sitting with? I can tell you right now, they are not meeting their own vacancy rate. How are they going to contribute?
Well, he says they're going to do that, certainly the funded ones, by August. But, of course, you're challenging that. You're saying, let us know exactly the numbers. Let's talk about the names that we know exactly. 6,000 wardens that have been admitted in what the Premier calls a dynamic view to creating job opportunities. Those people, I'm sure we've got their names, they were trained, we know who they are, we've got their ID numbers, but you're still not happy with that. One would say it's a similar thing that, for example, the DA is doing in Cape Town with LEAP officers. Why are you so strongly opposed to it when it's happening in Gauteng, just because it's not a DA initiative?
Well, I like the fact that you're saying what we're doing in the Western Cape. What we're doing in the Western Cape, specifically in Cape Town, is that there was a term of reference when this contract were put in place. There was a training program that was actually made very, very much known. And in fact, the recruitment processes was made very, very public. Tell me if you've heard of, this recruitment process being made public, or you just hear that there's now people that are being trained. We can tell you right now that unfortunately there's another a political gimmick where our people who are now finding themselves unemployed have been taken, and unfortunately again we're talking about issues of partisan recruitment that has taken place here. If you don't know, I don't know, and I'm a member of the legislature, I didn't know that, there were these advertisements that were being taken out in terms of the recruitment of this, 6,000 people. Yeah. How were they recruited? How were they brought together? How were they trained? Because even now, when we're sitting in the oversight committee looking into the office of the Premier, we've been asking, what has been the training program that these people have undergone? What are the terms of reference? How do we know that they are succeeding or they are failing? These are some of the things that we've been asking, and we're not getting straight answers. And therefore, we are spending now a lot of money. I can tell you right now, by the end of the term that these people are on, we would have spent in excess of 2 billion rand. And if we're not going to get the terms of reference, how would we know that the money that we are spending is actually then going to, be justified in terms of the impact that we would have felt on the ground?
Yeah, certainly. I'm hearing from the people who are benefiting from it. I must be honest with you. I also did not see the recruitment process as much as I'm seeing now the recruitment process of the solar technicians, which is being broadly advertised, and you can see it even on media platforms. But the people who are benefiting from being a part of these 6,000 wardens are certainly finding this opportunity as a worthwhile opportunity for them to be able to feed their families. So it is making a difference in that sense.
Tabo, if you haven't been employed for a very long time, an opportunity that comes your way will be a welcomed opportunity. And we're happy for them. It's not them that we're having an issue with. It's this government that we're having an issue with. And, I'm almost having a deja vu that when I got to Tshwane in 2016, there are people that march to my office and say, we were given contracts, and these contracts came to end, you must extend them. And this is exactly what is going to happen. These are people that are given contracts that are going to end in March. And when Panyaza Lesufi and his team are out of office, these are the same people that are going to come and says, well, give us an extension, give us permanent position. Because now Panyaza is not telling these people that these are actually then just 10 months contracts and that are possibly not going to be renewed. And in fact, if you look at the budget that is there now, it spikes now for about 337 million rand, and then it goes down, which means that these projects that are now being initiated next year might not be there. But this is not something that is not being told to those that are supposed to then be benefiting out of these projects. And these are things that we are saying we are going to be monitoring. And in fact, we are going to be writing now to the public protector, not necessarily on the employment of the green scorpions or the wardens, but to look at how this year alone so much money has been put into the office of the Premier, and how they actually been spiking their marketing campaign. So we are now being told of 142 million rand that is going towards the so-called rebranding of government departments. Now, why do you need to rebrand in a year before elections? This is all about knowing that you didn't deliver and wanting to then use government funding and platform to then go and sell your propaganda. If you had delivered, then you wouldn't have to go on and put up anything out there. People will then say you have done this for them, and therefore you wouldn't need to spend 142 million rand to then tell people what you then say to them you have done.
Solly Msimanga, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Gauteng, DA leader there, Solly Msimanga.